Imagine this. Early morning. The summer heat is just beginning to rise above the asphalt. The road is empty, except for a column of 5 military trucks slowly crawling toward a temporary transfer base. They are loaded to the brim. Inside, dozens of tons of ammunition, artillery shells, rockets, fuses, powder charges, all of it meant to strengthen Russian artillery on one of the most intense sectors of the front. Just half an hour more, and they would have reached their goal. Half an hour more, and hundreds of Ukrainian soldiers would have come under a barrage of fire. But they no longer had that half an hour. At 10 o'clock in the morning, on August 12th, 2025, on the outskirts of the city of Starobilsk in Luhansk Oblast, everything was calm. No air defense systems, no electronic warfare, no barriers. No one even suspected that at that very moment, from the opposite side of the region, from the city of Izyum in Kharkiv Oblast, 2 kamikaze drones were being prepared for launch. These were not toys. They were deadly steel arrows with surgical precision and destructive power in a single body. And on this day, they were configured for only one thing: to destroy the target at any cost. 15 minutes before the attack, a Ukrainian reconnaissance drone, Lelika 100, took to the sky. From above, it scanned the terrain in infrared mode, relaying real-time data to the command center and guiding the strike drones directly to the target. Everything worked like clockwork. Not a single detail was missed. Ukraine's 14th Tactical Unmanned Aerial Vehicle Group had been monitoring the convoy for more than a day. They knew the route, the driver's routines, stop locations, spacing between the vehicles. They only had to wait for the moment when the vehicle stopped, without guards, without cover, without a chance of rescue. When the convoy halted to refuel near the warehouse zone, the outcome was already decided. Leleka 100 hovered over the target from 9 miles away, sending a clear image. On screen, 5 trucks, clearly outlined in warm contours. They stood in combat formation, each about 7 meters apart. It was a perfect target. Just one well-aimed strike could trigger a chain reaction and wipe out the entire column in seconds. The signal encrypted, the coordinates confirmed. And then 2 strike drones surged into the sky. At first, they flew at low altitude, between 10 and 15 meters, to avoid radar detection. Their speed, about 130 kilometers per hour. Fast enough to reduce flight time, but slow enough for the operator to maintain full control. At 3 kilometers out, the drone's cameras locked onto the target. Soldiers could be seen walking around the trucks. None of them suspected that the countdown had already begun. Each drone was equipped with a powerful shaped charge warhead. These were special copper-lined charges designed not just for destruction, but for penetrating armored targets. The warhead's weight, about 3 kilograms, nearly half of which was explosive material comparable to high-density TNT. Upon detonation, the charge generates a stream of superheated plasma capable of melting through up to 15 millimeters of steel. Now imagine all of that aimed inside a truck packed with ammunition. The first drone was ordered to strike the 3rd truck, the one right in the center of the column. It was selected as the chain reaction trigger point. If it detonated, the blast wave would engulf the 2nd and 4th trucks. The second drone was to flank the convoy and strike the last 5th truck, cutting off any chance of retreat. The strategy was simple. Hit the center to create a domino effect. Hit the tail so no one escapes. Everything was calculated down to the smallest detail. At a distance of approximately 600 meters, the first drone switched to final targeting mode. The automatic target recognition system activated, and the drone descended to an altitude of 5 meters. The operator switched to manual control mode and stabilized the course. For 5 seconds, he held the drone on a perfectly straight trajectory and then suddenly increased the speed. The drone, like a steel arrow, surged forward. Distance, less than 30 meters. Speed, around 140 kilometers per hour. The impact happened in an instant. The warhead struck the truck, pierced the cargo body, and detonated inside. In the same second, a superheated shaped charge jet, reaching nearly 3,000 degrees Celsius, shot through the chassis. Everything inside, explosives, shells, packaging, gunpowder, ignited almost instantly. After 5 seconds, the entire truck bed turned into a giant fireball. Flames spread to neighboring vehicles. The second truck, in front, fell into the zone of direct thermal impact. Its side panel began to melt. The fourth, behind, was struck by flying shrapnel. Personnel scattered in panic. Someone tried to return fire, opening chaotic fire on the second drone, which at that moment was approaching from the rear, but it was already too late. Far too late. The second drone began its flanking maneuver. It approached from the tail of the convoy, skirting the zone of the first explosion to deliver the final strike. Its target, the last, fifth truck. It was to become the second lock point, trapping the entire convoy in fire and flying metal. The objective was not only to destroy the equipment, but also to prevent any movement, deny regrouping, and cut off escape. The drone entered the final leg of its trajectory at a speed of about 120 kilometers per hour. Its camera captured the rear of the fifth truck. On screen, 2 soldiers could be seen moving frantically, one shouting something, the other pulling a rifle from the cab, but no weapon could stop the attack now. Within fractions of a second, the drone slammed into the truck body. The explosion was no less powerful than the first. The shaped charge pierced the metal, detonated inside, and the entire rear of the convoy instantly turned into a fiery cloud. The fire merged with the flames from the third truck. Now it was the single wall of fire engulfing the fourth and second trucks. The temperature at the epicenter began to rise rapidly. Detonation began immediately in the next vehicle. First, the second truck exploded. Its steel frame shattered like paper. Shrapnel flew forward, piercing the cab of the first vehicle. Swirls of hot air created a furnace draft effect. All the heat was drawn into nearby trucks, heating the ammunition to critical temperature. Within seconds, the fourth truck ignited completely. Fire was everywhere, beneath the wheels, above the cab, inside the vehicles. In less than 2 minutes after the first strike, all 5 trucks were either completely destroyed or burning with uncontrollable intensity. The attack site turned into a true firestorm. Pillars of flame soared tens of meters into the sky. Thick black smoke was visible from more than 20 kilometers away. Shells continued to detonate one after another, scattering shrapnel across the area, one after another. Explosions shook the ground. Shrapnel damaged nearby infrastructure, warehouses, hangars, equipment. Emergency response units could not approach the blast zone. The danger was too great. Even the concrete surface of the road was deformed by the shockwave. The remnants of the equipment were literally melting under temperatures that in some places exceeded 3,000 degrees Celsius. When everything finally quieted down, nothing remained of the convoy except charred frames. 5 military trucks carrying approximately 50 tons of ammunition were completely destroyed. 4 of them detonated with total disintegration of their cargo. 1 burned to the ground. All of this happened in less than 3 minutes. 2 drones, 2 precise attacks. And the entire convoy, all logistics, all planning, vanished in flames. Immediately after the explosions, emergency services arrived at the scene. The Russian Ministry for Emergency Situations deployed sappers, firefighting units, and medical teams. The area was immediately cordoned off. Ambulances were stationed along the roadside perimeter, but even several hours later, no one could approach closely. Many unexploded munitions remained inside. The area was deemed extremely hazardous. Operational losses were enormous. According to rough estimates, including drivers, guards, technicians, and escorts, there were between 20 and 25 people in the convoy. A significant number of them either died or suffered severe burns and injuries. The blast wave damaged nearby infrastructure, including temporary warehouses and electrical transformers. In some areas, even transformer oil was burning. Blue flames reached into the sky, mixing with black smoke. But the most important point, this was not just a strike on a single convoy. This was a blow to the entire logistics system. The destroyed cargo was intended to provide firepower along the Starobilsk-Kupiansk line for at least 2 weeks. Now the Russian forces were left without this ammunition. Moreover, the transport route had to be urgently changed. Instead of large convoys moving in an organized fashion, they had to switch to smaller batches with additional security and cover. This increased delivery time, reduced supply efficiency, and made each new shipment more vulnerable. The very fact that the strike was delivered so deep in the rear in a zone previously considered safe caused a real shock. Starobilsk had long been perceived as a logistical hub immune to attacks, but now that illusion was shattered. 2 drones launched from the Kharkiv region from the Izyum area proved there are no longer any truly safe routes. Even deep in the rear, Ukrainian forces are capable of striking precisely, quickly, and with maximum effect. This is not just an operation. This is a strategic signal. Any convoy, any route, any depot can now become a target. And the bigger the load, the higher the risk. And this is only part of Ukraine's strategy to slowly and systematically dismantle the enemy's logistics, depriving it of steady supplies. Not head-on, not in open battle, but through precise surgical strikes. And as the attack near Starobilsk demonstrated, it works.